Meghan Markle was found to have included £7 million of taxpayers' money spent on police escorts in her documentary budget. Prince Harry responded with an angry live stream declaring tradition weaponised. Parliament swiftly passed the Abolition of Titles Bill amid a wave of leaked emails and shell company transfers. And on the eve of Holy Thursday, King Charles III spent 16 seconds in silence before relinquishing his Sussex title, turning a family dispute into the monarchy's biggest purge since 1936. Today, the usually taciturn Princess Anne strode before cameras outside St. James's Palace and delivered 9 words that detonated across the kingdom. A crest is earned, not least to Netflix. With that salvo, the Princess Royal dragged the monarchy into its fiercest public showdown since the abdication crisis of 1936, turning a simmering dispute over security costs into a constitutional inferno. As ever is Meghan Markle. On the 19th of March, she launched a tear-flecked live stream from Monarchy, insisting she sought nothing but safety for her children. Archie hears helicopters and asks if they've come to hurt us. She sobbed, blaming what she called the palace's ancient prejudices for denying a permanent metropolitan police detail priced at $7 million a year. That emotional plea rocketed to 27 million views in 10 hours, but it also triggered the release of a cache of paperwork that now underpins the most drastic bill to hit Parliament in nearly a century. Anne's office confirms she has lodged 4 exhibits with the House of Commons ahead of this evening's second reading of the Removal of Titles Bill. Exhibit A is an internal Netflix email dated the 4th of September 2025, in which a Sussex production staffer writes, "Police detail doubles as production value. Blue lights read instantly royal." Exhibit B is a coups transfer slip showing £450,000 wired to a one-door shell company in St. Trope. Anne's handwritten note across the photocopy reads, "Charity account is not equal to ATM." Exhibit C comprises 12 Australian trademark filings for As Ever merchandise, each stamped with a stylised coronet. Attached are surveillance shots of a Sydney warehouse stacked ceiling high with unsold scented candles. Exhibit D reproduces minutes from a December 2025 rake meeting where Meghan and Prince Harry reject a mixed public-private security option because it would disrupt filming continuity. Harry, furious, fired back overnight in an emergency podcast titled Weaponised Tradition. "My aunt would rather swing an axe at family than face her own privilege," he said, voice cracking between sides. The episode shattered platform records, but earned a bruising 40% dislike ratio, striking proof that even digital loyalists twitch when royal laundry flaps this brazenly in public. Inside Buckingham Palace, the temperature plunged. King Charles III summoned both legal and spiritual advisors before dawn, then ordered a private conclave. Harry and Meghan must deliver complete Archewell Bank ledgers within 72 hours or face an Easter week order and council, stripping them of the Sussex title outright. The monarch's edict, Aide's whisper, is the sternest ultimatum a modern sovereign has issued to his own blood. Will a princess famed for Olympic grit topple her headline hungry nephew and his Hollywood duchess? Or will Harry's charge of familial persecution shift opinion enough to stall the guillotine? Tonight, a 2 5-minute special on House of Windsor promises leaked audio of Anne and Harry sparring inside Clarence House. Snippets already teased suggest the princess snarls, "If you choose a camera over a coat of arms, you choose exile," to which Harry retorts, "Your coat of arms never shielded my wife from hate." If this is how crowns survive the 21st century, through spreadsheets, live streams, and a princess who wields blunt truth like a saber, then tonight may mark the moment Britain decided whether a title is a duty stitched to history or a logo printed on a candle. Keep your notifications on. The next alert could announce a royal house shorn of its most controversial branch, or a constitutional drama spiralling far beyond any stable Anne has ever mastered. Breakfast audiences barely finished their coffee when the first scan leaked. The 4th of September 2025 email that anchors AN's Exhibit A. The message labelled "Scene Logistics Nairobi" carries a single now infamous sentence. Police detail doubles as production value. Blue lights read instantly royal. 2 subordinate lines show costs $190 for British trained officers, £28,000 for overtime camera crew, followed by a cheerful approve from a Sussex productions coordinator. Industry veterans gasp. Never before has the glamour of a crown been rendered so literally into a shot list. Another document rips across Telegram channels. Exhibit B, the coups transfer slip. It records £450,000, moving from Archewell Philanthropies operating to AE Sun Limited St. Trope, a company whose registered address is a beachfront PO box between a gelato stand and a closed kite surf shop. Anne's notation scrolled in fountain pen blue circles the charity name and slashes 3 words underneath, "Not donor intent." By mid-morning, financial crime podcasts are dissecting wire codes, explaining to lay listeners how funds marked community outreach bounced through France before landing in Nevada, where AEN appears to have parked the cash in a short-term money market fund. The phrase "philanthroing" trends within the hour. While spreadsheets go viral, a courier arrives at the Palace of Westminster with Exhibit C, 12 glossy trademark dockets from IP Australia. Each application covers a different product class: perfume, cereals, vitamin gummies, baby swaddles, and each bears a stylized ducal coronet perched above the words as ever. The imagery is so close to the official Sussex coat of arms that even non-experts spot the borrowed pearls and strawberry leaves. Attached colour photographs show the Sydney warehouse aisle after aisle of lavender-labelled candles shrink-wrapped and ready for global export. A customs official quoted anonymously says the stock has been sitting for 7 weeks because the importer cannot provide an insurance certificate that distances the goods from royal endorsement. One line from the leaked customs memo becomes meme fuel. Awaiting clarification from Buckingham on whether the crown is a cent note. The most incendiary file is Exhibit D, minutes from the 16th of December 2025 RAC security meeting. The transcript shows Harry opening with an appeal for continuity between Sariri home footage and Kenyan field footage. A Deputy Assistant Commissioner replies that a mixed model of private contractors plus local police would be cheaper. Meghan interrupts. Mixed detail breaks the visual. We need identical uniforms. When officials warn that taxpayer funding cannot be justified for a commercial shoot, Meghan allegedly counters, the taxpayer funds Windsor all the time. We simply film what is really there. Harry then adds almost an afterthought, and the platform will reimburse through outreach grants. The minutes end with Ravik's unanimous refusal and a directive to escalate any renewed request to the Home Secretary in writing. Inside Monasto, the walls close in. Harry's emergency podcast, posted at 217 Pacific, still plays in loops on social media. He pleads that his aunt rides roughshod over humanity and that little Liette is a toddler in a sniper's crosshairs. Yet the dislikes mount. Commenters ask why the couple rejected a subsidized hybrid option if safety was the only goal. Moments after the podcast drops, Spotify issues a neutral statement but demotes the episode from its trending shelf, citing active legal sensitivities. Princess Anne, meanwhile, meets a very different audience. 300 cadets at the Royal Victorian Equestrian Grounds. Reporters shout, asking whether family bonds can survive. She tightens a chin strap and says, "I mount, I ride, I dismount." Drama stays in the stands. The clip, 8 seconds long, spawns thousands of GIFs. Anne on a rearing horse, overlaid with the caption, "Unbothered, moisturized, in her lane, flourishing." The royal PR machine could not have scripted a sharper contrast with Meghan's tear-streaked selfie cam. Back inside Whitehall, cabinet ministers tally votes. Early counts suggest the removal of titles bill will clear its second reading by a margin of at least 140. Labour plans to abstain, framing the dispute as a family matter wrapped in constitutional cloth. But privately, several shadow ministers confess admiration for Anne's granite clarity. Lobby correspondents whisper that William has drafted a fallback. Should the bill falter, the Privy Council could still advise the King to issue letters patent, redefining the Sussex style as courtesy only, stripping it of commercial weight. Late afternoon delivers yet another twist. The Australian Taxation Office confirms it has opened a review into import duties for candles branded with royal insignia. The statement, bland as porridge, nonetheless sends as ever's Instagram shop offline. A maintenance banner replaces product tiles while code monkeys madly strip the coronet from PNG overlays. Across the world, teenagers who ordered mindfulness sprays post TikToks asking if their parcels are now contraband Monarchy. Through it all, King Charles moves like a pale planet behind thick clouds. Courtiers say His Majesty pores over leather-bound copies of the 172 Act of Settlement, hunting historical footing for a modern edict. One aide describes the mood as polite siegecraft. Time ticks toward the Easter deadline. Ledgers remain unproduced, and the Crown weighs whether to revoke a title whose holders appear to treat it as subscription content. Dusk creeps toward Westminster. Street lamps flicker on, illuminating clusters of demonstrators chanting alternate slogans, "Protect the Duchess" versus titles or service. Inside the palace, Anne's exhibits lie under green reading lamps, their pages crisp, their margins aflame with the princess's forthright ink. MPs arriving for the night session turn each sheet like a potential shard of glass, keenly aware that every comma may slice through a historic alliance of blood, duty and brand. And somewhere beyond the Thames, Meghan scrolls through comments, weighing whether a second live stream will sway hearts or simply confirm the narrative her stern sister-in-law wrote at sunrise. A crest is not for lease, and the bill for pretending otherwise just landed with interest. Night settles over London like a bruised veil, and tension inside the Palace of Westminster tightens to Wyatt. The reading lamps have burned for hours, yet MPs still queue at the clerk's table to sign confidentiality waivers before viewing the sealed audio and promised. Only when the last signature dries do technicians roll a cart-mounted speaker into a side committee room and press play. What follows is 19 minutes of raw confrontation recorded in the marble foyer of Clarence House on the 5th of February. The file opens with Princess Anne's clipped alto, low but unmistakably furious. "You've turned duty into decor, Harry." Then comes the Duke's voice, at once pleading and defiant. "We're just asking not to be targets." Anne replies, "Targets, you painted the bullseye yourself the moment you sold access." A scuffle of footsteps, the scrape of a chair, and Meghan enters audibly, insisting no one in Kenya or Berlin would notice who foots a security invoice. Anne answers with a sentence destined for headline eternity. "The public is not your patron. Stop billing it like one." When the audio stops, several MPs remain frozen. Stylus pens mid-air. One whispers that releasing it publicly would be the modern equivalent of the abdication broadcast. Yet within 20 minutes, an anonymized transcript leaks to the Evening Standard, which posts redacted snippets on its site. Servers buckle under traffic, readers devour every ellipsis, hunting for proof of malice or martyrdom. Beyond Parliament, fault lines spread across other royal strongholds. At Adelaide Cottage, Prince William convenes his private secretary and 2 cyber forensic experts. Though he refuses to comment publicly, aides confirm he authorised metadata authentication on the Clarence House recording, preempting any Sussex claim of doctoring. Meanwhile, at Bagshot Park, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, hosts a quiet dinner for 3 crossbench peers, urging them to back Anne's plain-spoken courage when the vote is called. Sophie's circle leaks nothing more than a serving detail, grilled venison and elderflower punch, but even that fuels tabloids, eager for symbolic menu items, hunted game for hunted reputations. California counters with saturation messaging. Harry and Meghan upload an 8-minute rebuttal video framed by buttery light and eucalyptus branches. Harry, gaze locked to the camera, calls the Clarence House leak a betrayal of family privacy, on a scale I didn't think my aunt capable of before, accusing certain backroom quarters of robbing my children of the shield every Windsor. Grandchild is promised. Meghan, eyes glossy yet steady, cites online death threat metrics to prove their danger is quantifiable, not theatrical. They promise full financial transparency once lawyers finish collating multi-jurisdictional statements, a caveat instantly passed by accountants online. If the ledgers existed, collation should take hours, not days. While Sussex supporters flood socials with numbers stand for safety, an unlikely backlash swells among millennial royalists who once championed the couple's modernity. They share screen grabs of the Nairobi logistics email and ask pointedly why documentary B-roll requires Glock-armed officers. Data analysts at YouGov released an overnight poll showing a 12-point swing, 59% now, side with in a stance that public funds must never subsidise private media. Inside Sandringham, Queen Camilla phones 3 senior bishops to gauge whether pulpit messaging on Palm Sunday should invoke notions of stewardship, a liturgical thin mask for budgetary integrity. One bishop tweets a cryptic verse from Proverbs about false balances, deleted minutes later, but already screenshotted 10,000 times. Meanwhile, the Crown's legal timetable accelerates. Downing Street confirms a special Privy Council meeting has been penciled for Monday-Thursday, 3 days before Easter. If Arel's full ledgers are not lodged with both HMRC and the Charity Commission by then, ministers will advise the King that extraordinary remedy is justified. Quarters read the phrase as code for immediate letters. Patent revising or revoking the Sussex style. At dusk, the Mole's lamps flicker on, illuminating a stubborn drizzle and small knots of demonstrators now amplified by boomboxes blasting the Clarence House recording. Each raindrop seems to ping off the gilded railings like a countdown clock. In Hyde Park Corner, street vendors sell novelty tea towels stitched with Anne's new catchphrase, "I ride through the noise." They sell out before nightfall. Just after 10, reporters spot a lone Jaguar leaving Windsor Castle. Sources confirm the occupant is King Charles. Bound for a private chapel vigil at St George's, the sovereign has can-led dinner and requested the Dean's keys, seeking solitude among centuries of carved oak and stone effigies. His security convoy runs lean, 2 unmarked Range Rovers, no ceremonial outriders. A deliberate optic, aides insist, to contrast with the £7 million detail his estranged son demands. Across an ocean and 8 time zones, Montecito windows glow deep into the night as lawyers comb clauses, accountants triage receipts, and publicists debate whether another tearful live stream might salvage sympathy. Yet every hour, a fresh clip of Anne's writing lesson or Clarence House audio resurfaces, resetting the narrative to one stark dichotomy: heritage versus branding, service versus streaming. The kingdom, glued to devices, feels the hinge of history groan, waiting to know which side will slam shut when Parliament reconvenes at 6. Rain lashes the neo-Gothic stone as Big Ben tolls 6. Inside the House of Commons, every green bench is occupied. Journalists jam the press gallery too deep, and the public noise outside swells into a throat-raw chant that seeps through the stained glass. The clerk calls order. This is not mere legislation. It feels like an exorcism. Princess Anne, forbidden by protocol from speaking, sits erect on the advisor's bench in a navy coat that might as well be armour. Her very presence rattles veterans. No working royal has dared plant themselves so close to the dispatch boxes since George V's 6th reigned. MPs keep darting glances toward her, gauging nerve. First to the microphone is Sir Alistair Gray, Tory granddundy, brandishing the Clarence House transcript like a secular scripture. He reads Anne's rebuke aloud: "The public is not your patron," and asks the chamber whether a monarchy that sells its crest retains moral license to collect allegiance. Across the aisle, Labour's Kesha Banerjee rises, voice velvet but blade sharp. She will abstain, she says, because our constitution must not become collateral for family quarrel. Yet even as she demurs, she calls the Sussex security request spectacularly tone-deaf. A phrase that lands like a hammer on marble. Outside, digital screens relay a split screen. On one side, the debate, on the other, a new Montecito upload. Prince Harry appears alone this time, posture stiff, framed by a muted Sussex flag, now conspicuously deprived of coronet. If you destroy the bridge, you cannot later retreat across it, he warns Britain, accusing unnamed relatives of political stunt riding. The stream garners 2 million views in an hour, yet scrolls beneath a tsunami of sceptical comments. Show the ledgers, publish the invoices. Back in the Commons, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, watches from the Strangers' Gallery, expression unreadable. Every so often, she scribbles a note for the crossbench peer beside her. Observers guess she's mapping vote tallies. When the whip count surfaces, it confirms Anne's momentum. Conservatives break 3-1 for the bill. Liberal Democrats drift in behind. Even a knot of Scottish nationalists defy Republican instincts to support financial rectitude. Only a hardcore of Sussex loyalists and staunch anti-monarchists vote no for opposite reasons. But the evening's rawest moment arrives when Sir Gavin Truscott, former military aide-de-camp to the late Queen, unseals a personal letter penned by Queen Camilla. It urges MPs to safeguard taxpayers from populist pageantry, while reminding them that service unmonetized has defined this crown longer than any camera has existed. Gasps ripple, a consort wading into legislative waters breaches custom, yet the letter is legal because it is read by an MP rather than the palace. For monarchists, it is a clarion call. For Sussex defenders, evidence of backroom collusion. The division bells clang and MPs flow through mahogany doors. Tellers emerge 8-10 minutes later. Eyes 307-8, nose 118. The removal of titles bill passes its penultimate hurdle with a majority of 199. In the gallery, Princess Anne nods once, acknowledgement, not gloat, and slips out a side door before applause can ignite. News breaks across time zones like shattering crystals. Netflix suspends all Sussex-branded product pages pending clarity on trademark status. Australia's consumer protection watchdog issues a brief statement that it anticipates decisive royal adjudication. Even in Nairobi, tourism officials tweet they will reassess collaborative opportunities until royal protocol stabilises. The market reacts in real time. A London PR analytics firm reports a 48% sentiment swing against Sussex commercial ventures within 40 minutes of the vote. Yet the story hurdles on. Downing Street announces the Privy Council will meet at 10 a.m. Thursday to draft letters patent, assuming Arwell fails to lodge complete statements before midnight Wednesday. Insiders say the data room created for Sussex lawyers remains empty except for a single PDF titled Preliminary Totals, a placeholder everyone reads as bluff. William releases nothing more than a 5-word text to select correspondence. Parliament has spoken. We listen. Economical, surgical, final. But the monarchy's surgical theatre is not yet sterilised. Social feeds buzz with rumours that Harry has contacted constitutional barristers about seeking judicial review. A manoeuvre legal scholars deem possible but reputationally suicidal. And then cameras catch her returning to Gackham Park past midnight, rain-slick helmet under one arm. Her beige yelling snorting in the horsebox behind to a lone reporter. She offers 7 syllables over her shoulder. Equal parts dismissal and prophecy. Titles weigh less than integrity. Remember the words sail into the damp air. Linger and join the midnight chime as Britain lies sleepless, caught between bloodline and bottom line, waiting to see whether Easter dawn will rise on a family pruned or a crown fractured. Dawn of Holy Tuesday rises bleak and metallic, the sky over London the colour of an old coin. Inside Buckingham Palace, King Charles III pores over 2 piles of parchment. One contains unanswered requests for Arkwell ledgers, the other a draft of letters patent, already initials stamped by the Lord Chancellor. Courtiers describe the monarch's mood as monastic focus. Until figures arrive, the pen stays sheathed. Yet every tick of the bracket clock sounds like a starting pistol. Across town, barristers for Harry and Meghan convene in a glass cube overlooking the Thames. They have 48 hours to stop a title decree that could erase the word Sussex from every passport, birth certificate, and corporate masthead. The plan, leaked within minutes, is audacious. Petition the Administrative Court for an emergency injunction on grounds that Parliament's bill breaches Article 8 privacy rights. Senior judges, unaccustomed to royal litigants, whisper privately that they will tolerate no theatrics. The legal gamble alone triggers newspaper front pages. Prince for Parliament. Meanwhile, the Privy Council office releases the Mandy Thursday agenda. It runs just 4 items, but line 3 detonates social media consideration of titles and styles. Extraordinary remedy. Overnight, the phrase becomes a hashtag, a ringtone, a last-minute Etsy t-shirt. Even people who scorn monarchy sense a spectacle approaching a constitutional eclipse you glimpse once in a lifetime. From abroad, pressure intensifies. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission sends a formal query to the palace asking whether candle shipments marked with a coronet must be recalled if the title is voided. Netflix issues a profit warning footnote estimating a 7 to 9 million impairment should Sussex intellectual property require rebranding. And in Washington, IRS auditors serve serve new summons on PayPal, Stripe and Shopify, widening their net from charity to e-commerce revenue. Archewell accountants, sleep-deprived, mutter that liability now threatens to spill past foundation walls into personal tax filings. Not everyone keeps war rooms. At Gut Park, Princess Anne saddles her horse for an early ride, nods at gathered reporters, and offers only ledgers speak louder than gossip. The clip, 10 seconds, accumulates 2 million views and spawns a remix set to drum and bass proof. Even stoic reticence can warp into meme fuel during crisis. Inside Adelaide Cottage, Prince William hosts a discreet strategy call with the Cabinet Secretary, then disappears into Windsor Great Park with his eldest son for an unscheduled nature walk. Royal watchers read symbolism in every shutter click. The line of succession physically rooted in British soil, distancing itself from Californian tempest. Nearby, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, drafts thank you notes to backbenchers who defied party lines to support the Bill Quiet coalition building, while the spotlight strafes elsewhere. Yet, the Sussex camp refuses silence. At midnight Pacific, Harry publishes a 1,300-word open letter accusing palace hardliners of weaponizing Mandy rights for political theatre. He closes with a vow to attend court if that is the only house left to hear me. Within an hour, constitutional scholars on cable panels dissect the irony. A prince once desperate for privacy, now begging for a televised hearing that could lay his finances bare. As Tuesday slides toward Vesper bells, Westminster Bridge thrums with traffic and tension. Protesters on both banks rehearse chants for Thursday morning. Police map crowd control grids, calculating overtime for officers who could otherwise have been guarding the very royals at the story's heart. Somewhere behind palace curtains, Charles kneels for evening prayer, perhaps asking for ledgers, perhaps for grace. The deadline is carved in calendar stone. 72 hours to produce financial truth or witness the crown. Carve away a branch that mistook gold for brand and duty for decor. The Privy Council chamber smells of beeswax and old vellum. A single red leather folder rests on the oak table, its ribbon already loosened. King Charles enters without fanfare, flanked by the Lord Chancellor and the Home Secretary. A clerk checks the clock. 3 minutes remain. No courier has arrived from California. No data room link has sprung to life. The ledgers are officially absent. Across the Atlantic, Meghan loads a final video plea at 21 Pacific. We are still gathering documents, she says, voice trembling but resolved, and we beg for compassionate extension. The feed cuts mid-sentence when her lawyers, alerted by push notifications, realize time is up. In Westminster Square, loudspeakers relay the silence that follows, and the crowd of umbrellas seems to hold its breath. The King takes his seat. The Lord President inones the agenda line already notorious in headlines. Consideration of titles and styles, extraordinary remedy, quills hover, a ceremonial inkstand is opened. Charles clears his throat, eyes the empty doorway one last time, then signs 3 swift strokes. The letters patent of 2026 declare that the ducal title of Sussex shall forthwith cease to carry royal style or precedence and forbid its likeness for commerce. Wax is pressed to parchment. The Great Seal descends like a judgment gavel. Total elapsed time 16 seconds. News flashes global in under a minute. London traders watch the share price of a candle wholesaler plummet 14%. Sydney customs officials rebuild detained shipments, unauthorized royal imagery. Netflix removes the Sussex profile tile from its homepage, replacing it with a neutral silhouette and the phrase status under review. In Monaceto, lawn sprinklers hiss while paparazzi lenses train on shuttered windows. Yet the shockwave reverberates deepest within royal walls. Princess Anne, standing in an antechamber, hears the seal snap and exhales once as though dismounting. After a grueling course, William, notified by encrypted text, pockets his phone and keeps walking through Windsor Great Park with Prince George, refusing comment. Queen Camilla orders the chapel bell rung twice, once for a family stripped, once for an institution spared. Harry learns of the decree from a push alert rather than a phone call. He records a 30-second response, equal parts fury and fatigue. Titles are words, my wife and children are my truth. Within minutes, the clip is ratioed. Even long-time supporters urged him to publish the missing accounts if he seeks vindication. The promised judicial review evaporated when barristers advised it would now challenge an Act of Parliament and a royal instrument, double fortified, near impossible to overturn. By afternoon, the palace released a sober statement. The monarch notes with sadness the step but welcomes clarity for all parties. Grandiose language is gone. What remains is a monarchy newly armoured against brand dilution. Yet a family more visibly fractured than any time since 1936, historians will debate whether duty triumphed or compassion failed. For now, the streets echo with chants both jubilant and mournful, and souvenir stands sell 2 rival t-shirts. One bearing Anne's mantra, ride through the noise. The other Harry's last-ditch appeal titles or words. Night falls over London, and for the first time in 7 years, no royal style links Monaceto to Buckingham Gate. In the glow of smartphone screens, millions replay the moment the wax met parchment, trying to decide whether they witnessed a necessary pruning or the birth of a new branch. Severed yet determined to grow in exile, the crown endures, lighter by one coronet. The story rolls on, stripped of its title but not of its power to mesmerize.